Hey guys, Eternize here. Today we're going to talk about oscilloscopes because they're a great tool in music production. However, often I see them not used to their full potential. Now, years back when I started to get into creating music, I had this thing for oscilloscope plugins because I always thought that if I just had the best oscilloscope, I would always make the correct mixing decisions because I could see everything happening, right? Well, as it turned out, of course, that was not true at all. And now, after almost 20 years of experience in music production, I have a very different view on oscilloscope plugins. So today I'm gonna share my thoughts with you, and I'm gonna share how I use oscilloscopes for different tasks. First off, perhaps the most important thing to understand about oscilloscopes is that they are not created equal. They all have different settings, different visuals, different modes, and we also all have different preferences on how to use them. The problem is there's so much gimmick embedded into these plugins as well. And this was the case for myself. Often it became more of a hindrance than a benefit for me in music production. So in order to actually benefit from what an oscilloscope can do for you, let's talk about what to look for in an oscilloscope. And I'm warning you, I'm probably about to bash your oscilloscope setup right now. So again, we're not going to talk about all the gimmicky stuff like the color of the waveform, the rainbow effect, the thickness, all of that is just useless visual stuff. We want the oscilloscope to be functional. So here's what we look for. Sync. Is it synced to your DAW, meaning does it start at the same point every time you hit the spacebar? If it's not, if it's starting at a random point every time, it's garbage. The reason why we want it to be synced is so that we can look at the same spot all the time and follow the changes we're making. So for example, say you're mixing kick and bass and you're looking for that crossover point. You wouldn't want it to jump around to a different spot every time, making it hard for you to see the changes you're making. Next, loop length. Some oscilloscopes are all the way zoomed in to display just one full wavelength. Those are not useful for mixing purposes. Those can sometimes be used for sound design purposes, but generally for my workflow, I don't have any use case for them. Instead, what you want to look for is a loop length of 1 beat and the ability to adjust it up to 1 bar. This is also known as 1/4 and 4/4. 1/4 is 1 hit of your kick drum and 4/4 is 4 hits. And the reason why you'd want to be able to zoom in and out like that is of course so that you have the ability to look at individual elements under the microscope, but also zoom out and look at the mix in a broader sense. Next, the waveform. Is the waveform filled or not filled? In 99% of cases, you would want your waveform not to be filled, so showing up as just a line. The problem with a filled waveform is that you're missing out on a lot of information. For example, in the line view, you can beautifully see the phase of the waveform. You can see where it starts, where it swings up, and where it swings down. In the filled view, you can't see that, and it becomes increasingly harder to see anything when you add high frequencies on top of it. Next, the resolution, and this is perhaps where most of the plugins are failing. Most of them simply don't have a high enough resolution for them to be useful. Now, what do I mean by resolution? It means how much information is the oscilloscope able to display. If we compare two different oscilloscopes analyzing the same sound, we can clearly see that one is able to include much more detail than the other. Now, if you only use an oscilloscope to mix kick and bass at a basic level, this amount of resolution will be just fine. But I use an oscilloscope for so much more. And so let me show you a case where too little resolution actually becomes a problem. This is a simple saw wave playing two different notes, and notice how the oscilloscope is able to pick up the first note but not the second. So as you can see, the second note is not displayed correctly, and this is a result of the plugin simply not having high enough resolution to display the waveform properly. This is a programming issue, but it really shows you that not all oscilloscopes are created equal. Again, a plugin like this, which is called Oscilloscope by the way, this plugin is fine for a lot of tasks, and it's not to bash this plugin in any way. You just have to know that a lot of these plugins have their limitations. Now let's talk about what I use and what I recommend. I have 3 oscilloscopes that I use. I could probably cut away one of them, but I want to show you all 3. The first 2 I want to talk about are very similar. One is the oscilloscope inside of ShaperBox 3. It comes with any of the shapers if you buy them, and I think it works for the demo too, so that one should be free. And the second one is the older ShaperBox, where I've configured the volume shaper to have no effect other than showing the waveform. And this is where I say that I could probably do with just one of these, because they are very similar. I actually do prefer the older ShaperBox because if you compare the two, the newer ShaperBox has an even higher resolution. I think it's the highest on the market, and it's almost as if it's too much resolution. I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm used to the old one, but either way, you won't go wrong with these. I use them for anything, making kicks, mixing, sound design, anything where you'd want to use an oscilloscope. These will do exceptionally well, and so these are my go-to for general use. The next one I want to show you is called Wave Observer. It's free and it's made by Press Play. Now, this one I use specifically for one purpose and one purpose only, which is checking phase on leads and basses and stuff like that in the mix. And the reason why I like to use this one specifically over any other oscilloscope is twofold. First, what I like about this is it's synced, but it's a continuous display. And the reason why I like a continuous display is so that I can keep my vision steady in one place and see the changes that I'm making. That's the whole point, right? So for shorter duration stuff like mixing kick and bass, it's the ShaperBox. But for longer duration stuff like lead and low end, I use this. The second reason why I like to use this plugin is that it has left and right channel displayed on top of each other. This makes it very easy to spot if one of the sides has any issues, like phasing, has a delay, or in any way is out of proportion. So I've used these plugins as my main oscilloscopes for more than 5 years now without any of them being swapped out. They all have a very clear purpose in my studio sessions, and for the mixing process for a track, I utilize these plugins at least 100 times each. So for me at least, these are the best available oscilloscopes at the moment. Now, I know that you guys use plugins that I've never heard of before, so I'm actually curious, what oscilloscopes do you use? And do you think there are better options than the one I've showed you in this video? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, much appreciated. See you in the next one. Bye.